what if. But for me, it was at some point like, what if? Then I go back. I can always go back if needed. But let's just try. What if I always say, but what if I fly? What if I really succeed in this? That's the other hand. Then wow, then and I did. So there's always a chance not to. But then I always believed in myself. I will find a solution. You will find a solution within you. Always.
Welcome to the Travel Not to Escape podcast. I'm your host, Jolene on the Go, solo female traveler and creative entrepreneur. Think of me as your skydive instructor, empowering you to take the leap into solo travel to push past your fears and transform your life. Join me every Tuesday as we explore the world of solo travel with purpose and discover how you can use it for your personal transformation, learn how to make meaningful connections around the world, and reignite your spirit of play. We aren't just talking about traveling to find ourselves anymore. We're all about doing the work to understand who we authentically are, breaking through our limiting beliefs, and taking the leaps to manifest lives we are excited about. Through interviews, solo episodes, meditations, each episode is packed with practical tips, strategies, and inspiring stories from guests who have transformed their lives through solo travel. Whether you're a seasoned traveler or just starting out on your journey, the Travel Not to Escape podcast is here to inspire and empower you to solo travel with purpose. Strap on your helmet. We're about to jump headfirst into the journey of a lifetime. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome, fellow navigators. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to invite you all to get your passport to connection. What is that? Well, we talk a lot about connection here on the podcast, how to connect with yourself as well as make meaningful connections with others. But I know it's not as simple as going to a meetup event and making instant best friends, at least not always. And there's work that you need to understand yourself and what you're looking for in friendships, where to meet them if you're traveling or moving to a new city, how to handle rejection and filter for like-minded friendships, and how to maintain these friendships over time and distance. So if you've ever felt the pangs of loneliness, and well, who hasn't, and wish you could just figure out all these secrets to these questions, then Passport to Connection may just be for you. So this is a one-day live virtual workshop and monthly mastermind where I'm going to empower you with all of the knowledge and actionable steps and direction so you can make yourself more magnetic, reignite your spirit of play, and in turn, identify and attract all those beautiful soul-aligned friendships that you're looking for. And this isn't just a workshop. This is a community in itself. So head over to travelnottoescape.com/friends to get more information and sign up. And hurry, this is going to be an intimate workshop, so make sure to save your spot today. And with that, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to today's Travel Not to Escape episode. I'm so excited. We have our guest today, Delphine de Smet. She is a fempreneur and digital nomad and the founder of S.H.E, a global community of location-independent fempreneurs for skills, health, and entrepreneurship. Today, we're going to get to know Delphine's story of transformation through travel and also a little bit about S.H.E, the community that she founded. Thanks for coming on for today's episode, Delphine.
Thank you so much for having me, Jolene.
Before we dive into your background and travels, I would love to ask you a question I ask everyone right when we start, and that is, what was your favorite childhood activity?
Dancing.
Ooh.
Definitely dancing. Yeah, since I was a little kid, I was always, showing off to my parents and like, oh, can I show my new choreography, or inviting friends over, just dance on Britney Spears, and It was really, I was really into it. It was also my childhood dream to become a professional
Britney
dancer.
Spears?
To be Britney Spears as well, or one of the Spice Girls.
Oh, yeah.
But but that was for sure my favorite activity. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So the play style that you have, we were going over play styles and what each of these different childhood activities end up correlating with. And with dancing, that is the kinesthetic. So moving in your body is something that lights you up, feels like play to you. And I wonder, is dancing something that's part of your life currently?
Yes, it is. It is. It's definitely it. I mean, it has been all of my life like a very important, well, I would say activity, but also something that de-stresses me and then makes sure I'm in the moment instead of in my head. And last year I got a knee injury, quite bad. So I didn't dance for a long time. And still, even then, I try to, even move my upper part of my body, just because then I know I'm
Cheer
still
dancing.
there. I'm still, exactly. Because there's so many moments, even if you cannot do these big choreographies, you can just dance and cheer for yourself and make sure you have that little inner child always with you that is, happy dancing. And so, yeah, it's still a part of my adult life, I would say.
Ah,
Yeah,
yay. That's
yeah,
good to
yeah,
hear. Yeah.
yeah.
Even when you're injured.
Even when I'm injured, in a more like light version now, and it's
Mm.
something I miss, to be honest, as well, because I'm not like fully recovered yet. So I think it's something that's always in you, like you need to do that to feel happy. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
especially since that's your specific play personality is the moving in your body. And,
yeah,
that correlates with things that light you up and feel like play to you. And yeah, if you're injured and not
yeah,
feeling that, and
yeah,
that's a part of you. That's a part of the lightness and happiness.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure.
speaking about childhood and your background, can you share with us a bit about you growing up? Where were you born? Where were you raised? And how, from all of that, did you find your way to solo traveling and digital nomading?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go way back. I would say then.
Oh, let's go all the way
It's
back.
always like, oh, what are the things I did? But yeah, I was born in Belgium, in Knokke. That's near the coast side of Belgium. So I grew up next to the beach, and
Mm.
I stayed there, I think, until I was 23, something like that. And my first experience with travel was an Erasmus exchange. So
Oh,
here,
yeah.
yeah, in Belgium, it was like the third year of your bachelor degree. You could do like a study abroad for six
Mm.
months. And yeah, I was always already like interested in like different cultures. And you're like 21, so why not? So I moved to
Yeah.
Sevilla, to the south. And
Oh,
I was,
fun.
yeah, you're still so young and so inexperienced, and then suddenly you're in a house with two Italian people that also like their
Hmm.
English was also not that good, and we tried to connect, and we were like, oh my god, there was no like FaceTime back then, so there was Skype once a week with your family, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that was, I think, the first time I was like, yeah, you felt so alone in the beginning, like you had people, but who are these people? I go to university where they speak Spanish, no English. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
quite,
Full
yeah. And
immersion
I
program then.
100%. They asked me in the university, like, you can also go to Madrid. It's easier because the Spanish is like more pure, and I was like, bring it on. I'll go to Sevilla. I go to the south. I love challenges, and I also prefer to have like a really full experience instead of like a big city like Madrid that is a bit more like, it's easier for internationals to immerse in the culture
Mm.
there. And Sevilla is really like local, in my opinion, very
Uh-huh.
Andalusian. And so all my like teachers, they were speaking in Spanish, and like, yeah, it was like, you're an expat here, okay, nice, or like an international student, but you follow the rules that we have here, and you just integrate, and good luck with that. And that's
Oh.
exactly, I think, yeah, really, it's how I learned my Spanish, and it's also how I got, yeah, you get stronger, let's say it like that. You get stronger,
Yeah.
because
Because
you're
you have no other
confronted.
choice.
You don't have any other choice. And I think from then on, it was already important to meet like-minded people that were also there from so many other countries. That's where it actually started. I think the whole international experience and living abroad is, of course, different than just traveling a few days or a few weeks.
Mhm.
But from there, I was like, there's so much to see, and it changed me because I come from a very small town in Belgium. There are only like 15,000 inhabitants, I would say, in that
Wow.
part, and so everybody knows each other. And so then I came back from Sevilla, and I was so like, I
Mhm.
changed, but they didn't change, and I felt very alone, to be honest, after coming back. Because I thought like, and now what? Like
Mhm.
I've seen some part of the world that is so different than my hometown, and I love my hometown, but how can I bring both worlds together? It's
Yeah.
impossible sometimes. I cannot talk with them about what my experience was there.
So what was the process like for you after coming back? Did you, immediately feel like you needed to be on another trip, or did you work through those feelings back at home?
Oh, yeah, both. I think, well, of course, because I was still studying, I knew I had to like finish my studies first. But I already said to myself, when I graduate, I'm going to work abroad. I'm going to find a job
Mhm.
in Spain or wherever because I need to do more of this. It's like, it was something that
Mhm.
like it clicks and it's like, yeah, from now on, I just need to make a plan and see how we can make this work. So then when I graduated after 4 months working for a Belgian company, I was like, okay, no, I cannot do
That's
this.
not
There's like this,
it.
yeah, it's like this curiosity, I would call it, that I was like, but there's so much out there. I need to go. And then I found a job really like in a month time in Spain, in Alicante, near Alicante.
Mhm.
And yeah, from there, like I said, I have a job for 3 months and I stayed 1 year. So that's how the story got, then suddenly you worked for a Spanish company. And
And what were you doing as your career at that point?
I was account manager for the Benelux and I worked in digital advertising.
Mm.
So my colleagues were from everywhere in the world. So everybody had his own market. I was doing the Benelux. And from there on, travel became more important to also see other parts of Europe. And then I ended up in the Netherlands because I was working a lot in Amsterdam for the Spanish company. From there, I started working for Transavia. It's an airline company. And then it was like you travel and you only pay taxes. So then the door was
Oh.
open to go like everywhere.
And what did you do for that travel company? What type of position did you have?
I was key account manager for Southern Europe. So actually, I was doing business development in Greece, Turkey, Spain, Portugal. So that was quite like I had to do a lot of business trips. And that's
Mhm.
actually, I think if you talk about solo travel, this was more business travel. But I was 25 and they asked me to go to Greece on my own for the first time. And the manager would meet me later. And he's like, yeah, you'll be fine. I'll come 2 days later. We'll have a meeting with our clients there. And I was like, oh my God, but I mean, what am I going to do on my own on this business travel?
Mhm.
And it was a big moment for me because the first night I remember that, okay, should I go to a restaurant
Yeah.
or should I stay in the hotel? Because I'm on my own. And that's so sad, right? That's what society says. It's
Mhm.
sad. You don't
Yeah.
do that. People look at you. And then I said to myself, like, you have two options. Or you stay in this, like super boring hotel room all night while you're in Athens, or you just take a
Yeah.
cab and just explore. And I did that. And I said to the cab driver, like, bring me somewhere where there are also young people where I can have good food and it's so scary but somewhere safe, and because it's your first travel, you don't know what to expect.
Mhm.
And he dropped me somewhere in a super nice square, and then I went to a restaurant and all the bartenders were talking to me and I had so much
Yeah.
interaction just because I was on my own, and I was like, okay, this is like
Yeah.
easier than I thought, but it's all in your head, right? It's like
Mhm.
what do people think about you, but nobody cares always.
Yeah, the secret is you're actually more intriguing when you're by yourself and less
Exactly.
intimidating to talk to. When there's two people, people don't really approach because they're like, now I have to talk to two people. But if it's you that's solo and someone else that's solo, it's so much easier to make a
It's so much
connection.
easier. And that's
Mhm.
for me was an eye opener, seriously. Like, and it's true if you think about it. Like, I would do the same. Oh, they're in a couple, they're a group of friends. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
bother them.
Less intimidating for sure. And I love that you're like, cab driver, take the wheel.
Yeah, I
That's
did
a lot
that,
of trust.
yeah, exactly. And I was like talking to him, and I said I didn't do a lot of research, but yeah, where's the place where young people go? So, and I was
Oh
so proud of
man.
myself, because it was so scary. So, I can
Yeah.
imagine so it's something many people will relate with. I think that it's just out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, especially your story of, do I stay in the hotel and starve or do I push myself to go to a restaurant? I think that
Yes.
honestly, like I've had that conversation with so many travelers, especially on this podcast. When you first go on a solo travel trip and say you don't do as much planning and you're there by yourself and you're like, even myself sometimes when I land in a new city, I have to mentally push myself to go out and
Yeah,
not rely on delivery, not rely on like the hotel restaurant or bar.
exactly.
It's actually like, let me leave and let me go explore, eat a meal
Yeah,
on my own. It'll be
yeah,
fine. And it
yeah.
always is.
Yeah, it always is, and it gets better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really better. And also, I think what helps is that it was outside. Like, for me,
Mm-hmm.
it can also be a mental thing. I don't know, but when I'm outside on a terrace, there's more ambience. There's a lot going on outside. It feels less like I'm here, inside in a table. And I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it helps. It helps. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I love that you started to incorporate more and more travel in your 20s.
Yeah.
And then from that position, did you mostly do a lot of European travel then at that time?
No, well, for business travel, yes, but because one of the perks was that you can travel all around the world and you only pay taxes because you're an airline employee. So back then, with my ex, we like for 4 or 5 years we went everywhere for
Wow.
a few. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then you go like for a week to Cuba or for a few days to Mauritius, or it's just so then I traveled a lot.
Hmm.
And yeah, once you get a taste of it, it's like
It's
it's like a
addicting.
drug. Yes, it's really addicting, and you want to see more. And but you grow also, because I travel now so differently than I was traveling when I was 25, for example.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, I'm less scared, and I know I trust myself much more.
Hmm.
I think the solo travel like started at some point because I was in a relationship. You always have somebody. Many people will relate to this. I think you have somebody, have a partner, so you can go together. Why go alone? And I
Hmm.
remember that both of us were very like travel minded, but I said, I just want to do this solo travel. Like I want to go on my own to Thailand. And even
Hmm.
though I can go with you, it sounds so amazing. And I remember that my parents said, but why would you do that? Like, do you have to prove something to yourself? Or, you have people to go with. And I said,
Yeah.
no, I want to explore that part of me. I want to know how it feels. I want to also see, like, I don't know, it's a mirror, right? Solo traveling, like
Hmm.
how far can I go? And so I booked that trip to Bangkok.
Oh wow.
And yeah, yeah, and like we both were fine with that. And it was so scary because once you're in the plane, you're like, am I really gonna do this? Like,
Yeah.
why? And there's so many thoughts, like, was this for real? And but
Why did I
once,
choose this
yeah,
again?
why did
Yeah.
I choose this again? And but it was the best thing, and I think it was also the catalyst for all my solo travels. I think to like start to explore on my own and have my own rhythm, and yeah, personal growth, and there were so many benefits.
Yeah, it's a different level for sure. Yeah, like you can do business travel and be solo during business travel. You can
Yeah,
do
yeah,
couple travel, friend travel, but something
yeah,
about solo travel, I highly recommend everyone to do it at least once and do it intentionally. Don't do it just to say you did it and then and then be like, and then write it off completely like, oh, I never want to do this again. It's like actually be intentional in the choice that you're making and where you're going. Plan it out so it aligns with what it is that you're looking for. I think that's the piece that people don't necessarily take the
yeah,
step to do.
yeah.
They might think like, oh, I'm going to book the trip because someone recommended it to me.
No,
But
not
it's
at
like,
all.
is
Yeah,
that what you're looking for right now in the season of your life? Are
yeah,
you
exactly.
actually looking for something more relaxing, but now you're going to go on this like 10-day mountain hike for, for your trip,
Yeah,
right? So it has to be
yeah.
a very intentional choice of where you're going and what you want to get out of the experience. And then if you go in it with that, then yes, it can be such an amazing transformative time for you.
And especially what you say with intentional. Like for me, I had a purpose as well of going to Thailand on my own. It's because I knew that there were a lot of nomads in Chiang Mai. I heard it's a nomad
Yeah.
hub of Asia. And back then, I was still working corporate life, 9 to 5, for the airline. But I was so intrigued, and I knew back then I had some health struggles because of stress, and we all know
Mhm.
what stress can do with you. And I was like,
Stress. Yeah.
I want to go. Yeah, I want to go there, meet those people, talk to them, and see what actually are they doing that they can combine travel, work,
Hmm.
and then have a coconut next to them, working
Yeah.
working from the most amazing places in the world. world and still earning money, because for me it was like, so that was also my intention to go there. I said, I'll go to Chiang Mai. I was already in all these Facebook groups, because that's also
Mhm.
one advice I would give everybody, like prepare yourself. And I knew
Yes.
like, yeah, I arrived there and I had a plan. It was not just like, okay, and now what? So yeah, I wanted to get to know them and talk to them and pretend like I was already one of them, because that also
Mhm.
can help. Yeah, yeah.
It does, yeah. You start to just have the normal conversations, and yeah, you get to learn from each other too.
Yes.
So how did that Bangkok trip or Chiang Mai trip turn out for you? Like, who did you meet? What did you experience? What were the points of transformation?
Yeah. Also, as I said, I was in a few of these Facebook groups, and one of them was, I think, Chiang Mai digital nomads, because I was not a digital nomad, but I was pretending to. And the
Mhm.
community manager, she said to me, if you want, there's like this light festival, very popular. I'll pick you up from your hotel. That was
Oh,
the first
wow.
night, she said, and I'll show you around. And I was like, wait a minute, but if she's the community manager, and she's gonna like open so many doors for me there because she knows so many people, I have to do that.
Mhm.
And I remember that I said to one of my friends, I mean, if you think about it, it's a bit weird, right? Somebody picking
Yes,
you
a
up
stranger.
on her scooter, a stranger, from Facebook. You're here on your own.
Yeah.
And yeah, I told my dad, I think, that day, like, okay, so this is like where I am at the moment. She's gonna pick me up in a few hours. Let's see what happens. But I love sometimes the unknown and what's gonna
Mhm.
happen now. And she was there, and she was the most loving, amazing person that just wanted to generally show me around. So I was in Chiang Mai Center on her scooter,
Wow.
visiting all these beautiful places at night. And then the next thing, I was with 6 of her friends in a bar, like introducing me to everybody. And from there, I was like, wow, so solo travel is not always that solo. It doesn't have to be
No.
if you just find the right people. And it
Yeah.
was amazing. And then the next day, for example, I felt quite tired from the trip. And then I could decide myself, okay, so today is massage day. It's exploring a few temples. And whenever I
Mhm.
want to go back to the hotel, I go back. So it's
Mhm.
pure. It's so empowering to decide whatever you want, and how you feel that moment. You decide what you want.
How is that different from when you would travel with your partner at the time?
Yeah, that was very different, because I think what you do is all the time you ask what the other person wants, and I'm also very a person like I tend to please, and I'm like, oh, you want to do this? Well, maybe I also want to do this. You want to go on a hike, even if sometimes I'm too tired. You do that, and it's also normal. Sometimes you just want to meet in the middle, but
Mhm.
you're not gonna go on like, oh, let's meet people. You can, if that's
Mhm.
if there's a moment and you're in a restaurant and you meet, okay, but that's not the intention. You're
Mhm.
together and then you travel, and yeah, there's much more. I don't know. I also love it, but I think it's a completely different type of travel.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it also is like I have friends who go more on vacation, and when they're traveling as a couple, they actually don't want to meet anyone. Or like if they do, it's a very like at the restaurant, where are you from? What do you
Exactly
do?
this.
Type of
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
very low key. And we were both quite, I mean, sociable and everything, but sometimes you also think, oh, it's nice to be the two of us. And yeah, it's just
Mhm.
different. But if you're on your
Yeah.
own, yeah, it's just,
You have whatever you want to do, you can do.
yeah. And that's crazy. I was like, I didn't even know it would be like that. And every day you decide it yourself, like, do I want to go on a hike, or I want to stay by the pool? And nobody gives you any opinion. It's just like, oh,
Mhm.
no, I don't want to do that. Or no, you just decide for yourself. So yeah, I love
And
it.
some people get a little overwhelmed with the decisions too, though. I think that is also a thing where people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what if I don't want to decide for myself?" Like, what would you advise for that type of situation where, is it always the case where you're having to make a bunch of decisions? Or like, what if someone is a little scared about that? Like, what would be trying to think?
You mean this? Yeah, you mean decisions on what to do that day, or how to?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it starts with if you haven't traveled on your own, I would for sure go somewhere that you meet like-minded people. So if you say my accommodation is a hostel or a hotel where there's a lot of solo travelers, you can
Hmm.
just go to the pool and try to talk with some people and see, maybe, because a lot of times it happened to me that they invited me and like, oh, today we're
Hmm.
going on this trip to whatever temple, and then I was like, well, I didn't make up my mind yet what I'm going to do today, but actually that's a nice idea.
Yeah.
And then you can decide. So sometimes if you're a little insecure, just be open-minded and see, maybe sometimes a hostel organizes something, or talk to the
Hmm.
receptionist, or it's, for me, it's always connecting with other people if I don't know what to do, because
Yeah.
yeah, you can make yourself crazy and be like, I don't know, I'm a bit scared, but just try something. And yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's the other thing. It's like, well, how do I know what to do if I'm by myself? And that's the empowering part of solo travel is you get to exercise that muscle of deciding
Oh
what you
yeah.
feel, what you need at that
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
then allowing yourself to go with the flow with, as you mentioned, the connections, the activities that might be in place, the recommendations people give to you. And
Yeah.
that's where the empowerment piece comes in because
Yes, for
now
sure.
you get to make those decisions.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself. Sometimes you will make a decision that you say, "Oh, actually, I didn't like that," or "For me, that was not my cup of tea. I tried it, but it's okay." Then There's only one way
Hmm.
to know. It's sometimes just try it, and then oh no. Even if people want to convince you, hiking, that's not for me because I have fear of heights. For me, for example, that's sometimes a thing. Oh, the group goes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I should do that as well. But if it's too much out of my comfort zone, why would I do it for somebody else? I mean, at the end of the
Hmm.
day, I will have myself with it, right? Because I
Hmm.
will be stressed. I will be like, oh, I could have done something else. And so yeah, listen to what your body says to you. And if it was not the right decision, fine. I mean, there's always a way back. It's never like,
Yes.
yeah, right? It's not like you decide
Yeah.
this, so no. So that feels empowering as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. And so after your trip to Thailand, did you continue doing more solo travel trips after that? Like, how was the return after such a transformative time?
We moved to Mexico after that.
Oh.
So that's quite yeah. So I gave up my corporate job. I
Oh, it was
think that was the
immediately
biggest
after Thailand.
transformation. Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, a few months later. And of course, there was already something I was considering, because I told you, and the
Hmm.
health issues, the fact that I was like, I feel like I'm in a rat race. I feel like, the 9 to 5 is not for me. I want more freedom. Then I met all these nomads. And then I was, of course, completely sold. Like, I need to find a way to do this with the skills I have.
Hmm. And
And
what
we
were
were
those
already,
nomads doing for work that you met?
yeah, IT, graphic design, but also marketeers, a lot of coaches. I even did a few master classes, just joining them on like branding master classes. And
Wow.
then yeah, it was very inspiring as well. So what I did is I was not there only to see Chiang Mai or a part of Thailand, but also like, I want to get something out of it. I want to go back
Hmm.
home and know how I can start this journey, right? Like,
Hmm.
nothing goes one straight line from A to B, but sometimes you need a few triggers and a few people that you meet there that were so inspiring. It was like, okay, so what can I do? But you have so many skills, and then they start sharing,
Yeah.
and then you come back home, you're like, I need to do this. So yeah, we already had the plan to move for a few months abroad, so we did that, and yeah, we broke up at some point, and then I think for me it was like, yeah, let's do what I always wanted to do, and yeah, and go nomading full time.
So you moved to Mexico initially. So after Thailand, you stayed a few months
Yeah,
in the Netherlands. And then
yeah,
after
preparing the
that,
move.
you're like, okay, Mexico. And when
Yeah.
you went to Mexico initially, was that for like a long-term move or was that part of the nomad style travel?
It was a long-term move. The plan was to stay there like at least half a year to experience
Hmm.
living together abroad.
Mhm.
And I was taking a break from work then because what I wanted, so I gave up the corporate life, but I, of course, wanted to know, okay, I want to be a freelancer. How will I start this? And
Mhm.
what do I want to do? So I gave myself some time there to do that and to talk to people there as well, because where we were staying in Puerto Escondido was also a big nomad
A
scene.
nomad hub.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what was that? Actually, I wanna know more about the process between leaving corporate and going into freelance marketing strategy,
Yeah,
which is what you ended up doing. So
yeah,
what was that? What were the first initial steps that you had to do in order
yeah.
to really get the ball rolling?
Yeah, of course. So what I did is an exercise for myself where I wrote down all the skills I have, because I think sometimes we're stuck in like, I'm a marketeer, I'm a writer, I'm a doctor, and that's it. So I cannot do anything else. And that's such a,
Mhm.
yeah, it doesn't give you the freedom to do something else, right? So I said, let's look at my skills, soft skills, hard skills, and I made like a kind of PowerPoint. Yeah, I can,
Oh, I love
there's a kind of,
it.
yeah, it's a kind of strategy that I used where I said, okay, my soft skills are la 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 la, and then my hard skills, and then the things that I love to do. And then I tried to connect the dots to say like what would that mean for me? What kind of clients would I like to have? But also, and I read a lot of books about that, how do I want my life to look? Instead of
Mm,
only like, I want to be a freelancer and that will give me eventually the life that I know. I wanna have the life that I've, the nomads that I've met in Chiang Mai. I was like, I also want to be able to do that. So in order to do that, how can I get there? So it's a bit two ways, you know what I mean? Like the skills
mhm.
that I can market, but also the life I want to have.
You
Which,
kind of met
yeah,
yourself in the middle, it sounds like. So you were like, "Okay, I want this is the life I want. This is the skills I have now.
yes.
What's the combination of
Yeah.
those 2?"
Yeah, what's the combination? What makes me happy? And also a very important one, what will also benefit my health, you know, because what
Mm,
I said, it's something that was for me super important. I experienced a lot of stress. I knew what it did to my body, and I was like, I don't want
mhm,
to go back there. So anything I will do next will have to incorporate also time for myself and balance. And so, yeah, so I made a kind of, it was like a tip I got from somebody, that I had to make a schedule for my week where there was always time for relaxation, for
mhm,
also stimulation, because I love to learn new things, but not all the time,
mhm.
because that was what I was doing. And then, yeah, then naturally you get into a different routine where you actually design your life. I don't have a better word for it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is I think we initially going to school, completing that, going into our first careers, we end up on someone else's routine. We do things because
Yes.
that's the class schedule and that's what's available for me to take classes in. We start the job and we have that routine because those are the hours for that shift that I am starting.
Yeah,
And then we burn ourselves out. and
yeah,
and then we look back and you're like, "Oh, what actually makes me happy?" And then we have to start from scratch all over again. And so it sounds
yeah.
like you kind of got to that point. And yeah, I think that's a really important tip is on the calendar, understanding what are the key components that are non-negotiables for you to move. If health is
Yes.
something that's really important for you, like that is going to be scheduled and like no meeting is going to be put on that. Like that's
Yes,
going to be something you're
exactly.
going to do every single day.
Yeah, yeah. And before it was more like if I had meetings, yeah, everybody could just schedule meetings, and then suddenly I had 6 meetings a
Mhm.
day, and I was drained. And now I'm like, no. If I see my calendar and by mistake was 3 meetings, and I know, oh, it's a Tuesday. Usually, I'm not that.
Mhm.
No 3 meetings. So I'm more in charge of my life now, and I decide myself how far, like my boundaries and how far that can go. And yeah, it's also trial and error. You just don't know. You have to figure it out. And I never thought about it before that. I was just like, yeah, like you said, the 9 to 5, the rat race, like this is what society expects from me. And I have
Mhm.
500 other things I want to achieve in life. So let's just try to
Yeah.
push it
Do
all.
it all at the same time.
Yes, yes. And it's impossible. Yeah.
So, as you were pivoting and creating your own freelance career, how did you start to get clients? How did you make this something that was sustainable for you long term?
Yeah, so after I said what are the soft skills, hard skills, what do I want to do? I said the easiest way is from what I already know, starting from what I already know, because
Mm.
I knew that if I say, oh, let's now transform into, let's say, a doctor or anything else, that would cost me a lot of time. Also, I don't
Yeah.
think I can be a doctor, but it would cost me a lot of time to transform into this. And I wanted to have this life transformational life change just like in a month or two. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
let's go freelancing and let's advise companies on marketing strategy. From what I've learned, I have a backpack of 10
Mm.
years experience. It's impossible that I cannot like advise or consult on anything. So it's also a bit like believing in yourself that
Yeah.
you have some experience. It's not because you're a new entrepreneur that you don't know anything yet. You have 10 years of experience or more. So then I looked in my network. What kind of people do I know? Because in all those years, I built a network, professional network,
Mm-hmm.
where people already know me. They know what I bring to the table. And that's how I found my first client. So basically, yeah, via LinkedIn. And I said to myself again, like, what do I want? Do I want to start with 5 small clients? And you know also how that goes sometimes with smaller clients, and it's a lot of, or do I
Mm-hmm.
go for the big fish and just make sure that I have one client and I focus on that. And for other people it can be like, no, I love to like alternate and have a few projects on the side. For me, I know I would get super overwhelmed. So I said to
Mm-hmm.
myself, let's go for one big like client that can bring me enough to just start the journey as a freelancer. And that's how it goes.
I love that. I love how intentional you were in that process too, from understanding what your skill set was to understanding what life you wanted to really trying to push yourself to accept the fact that yes, you do have skills that are marketable that
Yeah.
you can consult with, which is a whole journey in itself to be able to push yourself and put yourself out there,
Yeah.
and then to target your network and make contacts and be intentional in what type of clients that you want to have. Like, this is all very key components of the process. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and I think I also want to add that, of course, it was super scary and it was
Mm-hmm.
very like, but what if, what if? But for me, it was
Mm-hmm.
at some point like, what if? Then I go back. I can always go back if needed. But let's
Mm-hmm.
just try. What if I always say, but what if I fly? What if I
Yeah.
really succeed in this?
Yes.
That's the other hand. Then wow, then and I did. So there's always a chance not to. But then I always believed in myself. I will find a solution. Like, you will find
I
a
love
solution
that.
within you always. And maybe if you would ask me when I was 25, I would say no, because back then I was so
Yeah.
much more insecure. And I would never, personally, I think I was not ready back then. And I didn't want to have a life like that. But now I'm like, even as an entrepreneur, we both know it can get sometimes so overwhelming and stressful. But then you always say, I'll find a way.
You'll
And
find
you
a
need to
way.
remind
Yeah.
yourself sometimes. But yeah,
You'll
you
figure it out.
do
Yeah.
it.
And I love that you also said, like, what if I fly? That was one of my biggest revelations when I had hired a coach. And my initial thinking was I was just going to switch corporate positions. And she had me describe what my life felt like what I was carrying, what my job felt like to me. And I was like, oh, it feels like I'm carrying a rock. And then she had me visualize like how big this rock is and whether I could
Wow.
put it down. And she's like, well, why can't you put it down? And then I had this realization that like, well, if I put it down, that means, like it's the only thing grounding me right now. Like, yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, it's a burden, but like it's grounding me on
Oh,
this
wow. Yeah.
cliffside. And if I let it go, then like, what if I fall? And she's like, well, what if you float? I'm like, huh, that's a
Wow, that's
different
beautiful.
perspective. Yeah, and then from there I was like, "Oh, wait, what if I fly?" And that's why I love it
Yeah.
when you said that because it's like we're stuck to this one perspective of like, what if I fall? What if I fall? What if I fall flat on my face? And it overwhelms you to where you won't put that rock down because you're like,
Yeah.
the rock is heavy, but at least it's something that I can hold on to.
Yes. Yes.
But like, hey, you have this opportunity to not just float, but you can fly and be in control of your destiny
Yeah.
and really like take that, like create the life that you want from there. So
Yeah,
that sounds
exactly.
like similar.
That's nice. Yeah, and it's important, and it takes time, of course.
Hmm.
But if you look back sometimes in your life, you're like, hey, but when I had that problem or that challenge, I figured it out. I figured it out, and then at some point,
Yeah.
especially with travel, you have challenges all the time. It's never like, it's the bus that doesn't show up, or it's
Hmm.
whatever happens with your luggage.
You
It's
can
you always need
plan
to
as
find,
much as you
yeah.
can. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, to connect it with travel, I think there you already learn how to be a problem solver and to trust yourself.
Hmm.
So maybe I would say that in business, it's the same thing. There will be challenges all the time. But yeah, you will find a solution. Maybe not straight away, but it's, yeah.
Yeah. You
So
will
yeah,
have to rely on yourself and figure it out. And so
yeah,
when you were in Mexico, took some time
yeah,
off to pivot your career. And then were you then after Mexico, did you start traveling after that? Did you start having more
yeah.
consistent clients? And then how fast were you traveling and where were you going?
Yeah, I like I said, after Mexico, we broke up. So that was for me like a point in life where I was like, okay, so you're on your own again. What do I want in life? And it's quite of a and
That's a
it's a
big
difficult
change. Yeah.
period. It's a big change, and what I knew was that I wanna freelance, and I wanna like keep on traveling and trying to combine both. So then I bought a one-way ticket to Lisbon.
Oh.
And that was not straight away after Mexico, I can tell you, because everybody needs time to like, get the emotions out, to find some
Hmm.
stability with your family and talk with your friends. And then I just knew that I was not ready to just go back to the Netherlands and start from there again after this whole period of time. That's so I booked my one-way ticket, and I said, let's see what Lisbon will bring. Because for me, a destination, I always have a connection with it. Like it's like a kind of friend. I
Hmm.
don't know, that sounds maybe weird, but it's like,
Yeah.
Lisbon, are you ready for me? Because I'm ready for a new chapter in life, and
Oh, I love that.
let's see who will be in this chapter of my book. Because I met very different people, and I also believe that sometimes you meet people because you need that at that time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that can be for years. Those people can be for years in your life, or just for a short period because they want to show you something. And what I realized in Lisbon was, wow, like the people, if you're there alone, people look at you and they give you a message, right? Like, oh, you sparkle. And I didn't feel any sparkle. I felt like, oh my
Oh,
God, like, I've been through such a rough period. But then they said,
yeah.
oh, yes, and you're this and so ambitious, and you inspire me. And like, okay. And then I found my sparkle back, I would say there. So
I
Lisbon was
love
very
that.
important for me. Yeah, very healing. And then so yeah, from one client to another, I think that goes. And it's just so your first project is always the most, because you promote yourself. I'm a freelancer. I can give you marketing strategy and na. But yeah, once you start, it's like, oh my God, am I really doing
Oh,
this?
yeah.
And all this
The
imposter
imposter
syndrome.
syndrome.
It's
Yeah.
so it's overwhelming. But then you get also confirmation from your clients, like, hey, wow, that was really interesting. That was inspiring. And you don't have a company that has your back or colleagues, but again, you
Hmm.
can rely on yourself and learn from the feedback they give you. And yeah, from there on, yeah, we're 3 years later now. So
Wow.
yeah, and I
So
still love to do it.
Since Lisbon, how did you frequently travel? How fast were you traveling after that? Yeah, up to this point.
So Lisbon, I stayed a few months, and then I started to like embrace the full digital nomad experience, as in like every month or 2 months, a different destination, and that was amazing.
Hmm.
And I did that for 2 years, the digital nomad life, full time, but it was also exhausting at some point.
Yeah.
So I would do it again at that time, but now at some point I was like, but I want to have a base. I want to have somewhere to put my toothbrush and just leave it the next day. Very simple things. I want to invite friends over because I have a house, or I want to. I don't want to be in a meeting and knowing 1 hour later I have to check out of my hotel. So how
Hmm.
will I make sure that they don't come and clean while I'm still having? It's just you
Yeah.
have to think about some. I think you can relate to that as well.
Yeah.
It's you have to plan. You have to, it's not a holiday, right? So it's like you live
Hmm.
and you work abroad. So it's a different experience, and I loved it. But at some point I said, I want to have a base, and from there on I can do my travels, I can go on workations, or yeah. So I decided to go back to the Netherlands at some point after 2 years being everywhere.
Hmm.
And now I'm living in The Hague, and I just got back from a winter escape, I call it. Because yeah, when I rented my apartment last year here, I was like, I cannot be here all the time, because that's not me,
Yeah.
right? I want to
Yeah.
fly at some point. So yeah, from November till now, February, I went to Thailand and Gran Canaria, and like embraced again the nomad lifestyle. And I was
Hmm.
also happy to go back home and have a home. So I think it's
Yeah.
combining both worlds for now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I love that you're giving permission for that too, to yourself, and then also for others listening, that you can change your mind, you can
Yes.
make different decisions. It doesn't have to be a forever type of decision.
Yes.
It's whatever is going to be best for you in that season of life and in whatever you're prioritizing for that moment. And I always like to plan my trips around my priority for that quarter and what environment is going to support me for whatever it is that I want to accomplish. Because I
Ah,
think if you
very
look at it
interesting.
from
Yeah.
that way, yeah, if you look at it from that way, then you're like, okay, so if I'm focused on health and healing, for example, then what are the places in the world that is going to support that goal?
Yes.
It's the same thing. Like if you're trying to quit drinking, you don't want to be around a bunch of partiers, right? And so it's like
Yes.
same thing. Like if you're trying to build a business, you want to be around a bunch of entrepreneurs. If you want to do healing, go
Yeah.
to Bali and Ubud
I
and
totally
and
agree.
can do
I
that.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you said. Give yourself permission to change the plan, because, if you're stuck but I said to myself, I want to be a full time traveler. Well, okay, but tomorrow you can feel different, and that's okay.
Hmm.
And there were some other life changes, like my brother that called me and said, well, my girlfriend is pregnant and we'll have our first baby. Then I'm like, oh, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. I want to be there. I want to be with them. I want to be
Hmm.
able to, so sometimes, and even now, if next year I feel different, then I'll change the plan. It's up to me. And I think it comes also with a lot of judgment from people that don't understand, and that makes us scared, because it's not normal. You're going to go again and
Hmm.
move again, and what are you escaping from? I think that's also one of the things that I love about the title of your podcast, Travel
Yeah.
Not to Escape, because I heard it so many times when I was younger. Oh, but you're trying to
Hmm.
escape life, escape. And if you listen to it too much, you start to believe it. But I always said, no, this doesn't resonate with me. And still now, even if I'm 80, I will not escape. I will just embrace this, because it's part of me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I named it this, is because yes, there's definitely a way that you can travel where you are escaping, but there's also the beautiful things that you can get from travel, the
Of course.
transformations that you can get because you're intentional. So it's kind of creating that fine line of like, okay, what is the difference between the two? What are
Yeah.
the benefits, the pros and cons? And it's just being aware that that's there.
Yeah.
And like, you hear it a lot, but it's like, okay, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm not escaping. I'm actually doing this, and this is how I'm
Yeah,
changing my
because
life
you're,
because of it.
yeah, exactly. Because you know why you're doing it. That's why I don't like to call it an escape, even though I call it a winter escape. Because
Yeah.
famous, it's just, I know why I'm doing it, and it's not like let's go away and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just gonna see
Hmm.
wherever it's. No, I'm very intentional with those choices. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when you have the freedom to be able to see family that they're having a baby, or if you want to go and explore more of the digital nomad scene in a different country, like I think it sounds like, and for me is the same, where it's not necessarily the I must travel all the time is a
No,
lifestyle. It's more of the freedom
the
to be
freedom.
able to travel when I want to and not be bound by someone else's schedule, be it the
Yeah.
corporate one or another person, where it's like limiting me from a choice that I want to make. So it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I want this life because I get to travel all the time. It's like, no, I want it because I get the choice of what I want to do.
Exactly, yes. And also, I think sometimes there's also, I believe there's always gray. Like, in the beginning, when I said full time travel, and so you need to find projects that also allow that. Now, for example, I I just signed a contract where they will ask me 1 day a week to be in the office. But I decided after my winter escape to be in the Netherlands
Hmm.
until summer because I love to be here when it's better weather. So that's fine for me because
Hmm.
I know it's a really important project that will help me as well the next years in my freelance
Hmm.
journey. So then that doesn't mean I always say then I still have 6 days a week I can be somewhere else. And some
Yeah.
people can say, "Oh no, but you cannot go anywhere. I mean, because you have to go to the office." No, I have 6 days to do whatever I want. So it's how you
Yeah,
see it, right? And sometimes
exactly.
there's also a way in the middle. If people say, "I want to do that, I want to be a digital nomad," but yeah, how do I find a job? Well, start small. Maybe you cannot go full time yet, but you can already try to, even if it's a hybrid working model, try to do that when you don't have to be there. There are always solutions, right? We talked about that before. So
Yeah, there
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you're already in a corporate position right now, it's testing the waters of, okay, 1 day a week, 3 days a week, and then kind of just seeing if not even if the company will go for it, but just if you even like it, right? And it's a choice, and it depends on what you value and what you envision for your life, how you want to design your life. I always say, if you love working corporate and you want to have like a house in the burbs and have this very settled type of lifestyle, as long as you're making that choice intentionally, then yeah,
Yes.
that's amazing. Go for that. Like if that is exactly what you want your life to look like and you ask yourself those questions and that was your vision, then 100% like I'm here to support you. I have friends who are like that and I'm like cheering them on from the sidelines, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't have to have the same life and path that I have,
Yes, I agree.
but you have to be intentional in making that choice. And I think when you're not and you have allowed life to come at you and are just living it because that's the only option you think is available to you, that's when I challenge people
Yes,
just
me
to
too.
ask themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On in Thailand on Komak, where I was during November, a few people that were not even thinking about freelancing at the end of the trip I was there, they said, "Oh my God, like you almost convinced me, like I'm gonna look into all the options because now you say it," because they were having a lot of limiting beliefs. And
Hmm.
I love to challenge people on that because I had to do it myself as well. Like you said, like, okay,
Yeah.
but what if da da da? And then they're like, yes, but no, that's an excuse. And then they
Hmm.
go further. And actually, yeah, there's always a solution. But I think sometimes we want to go too fast to like our end goal, and that's not
Yeah.
always possible. You have to build it, and yeah.
Yeah, and
So
it's showing people what's possible too. It's like people might not know what else is
yeah,
out there as an option, but like you living your life and you telling people, "Hey, this freelancer route totally doable. I did it too."
yeah,
I think that that's super inspiring because it shows that it's an expander. It shows people like, oh, if they did it and they have a similar background or like similar industry, then maybe I'll look into it too. And
yeah,
then you can make those conscious decisions of like, do you want to go
yeah.
that route maybe for a little bit? Or you're like, tried it, not really for me. But
Yes,
at least
exactly.
be
At
open minded
least
and try.
yeah, yeah, and everybody has something to offer. Just don't get stuck in
Hmm.
job titles.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
just
all
yeah.
job titles are made up.
Yeah, they're all made up, and we love to do that, but it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah, like
define you.
my title is playfulpreneur, and the way I
Oh, I
came
love
up with
that.
it is I'm an entrepreneur and I focus on play, but playpreneur was already trademarked, so now I'm a playfulpreneur, and that
I
is
love that.
that
You
is
see?
literally my made up title.
Oh, that's a good one. Seriously, I love it. Very creative.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But yeah, you can make up your own titles. So like if you think about that and then you're in corporate, you're like all these titles were made up at some point when the company started
yeah,
and based off of like industry benchmarks or whatever it was they were comparing it to. So yeah, don't get hung up on
yeah,
your title. I think we
yeah,
have a lot of association with our identity and title
we
because when we
do.
first introduce ourselves and people ask us, what's your name? What do you do? If you answer that question
Yes,
for a decade, 2 decades of being in that
it's part
career,
of
then
you.
of
Yeah.
course, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is. My name is, and I am this.
and I
I
am
am, not even I
this.
do. Hmm.
Yeah, also. But if you then sometimes ask people what ignites your sparkle, just saying, what,
Yeah.
what makes you happy at the end of the day, or what, then they don't know what to
Ask
say
what sets your soul
sometimes.
on fire.
Yeah, what sets your soul on fire? It's one of my mantras, actually. But and then people think, oh, wait, I have to think about that. And then, no, you have to know this, because that's your purpose in life, right? That will have an
Hmm.
influence on so many things you do. And that's funny. I think they all know their job title. We all know our job titles and our other demographic data. But what sets our soul on fire? Okay, yeah, think about it. And then you see the sparkle in their
Yeah.
eyes, and you're like, that's it. There you go. I love.
Yes. That by asking that question, you get a more genuine bond with people.
And it also shows interest in the person, not in their,
Hmm.
in their
What they
work
do,
or
what they
what they
produce.
do. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, who are you as the person, the soul, whatever your interest
Yeah.
is, like just as a human. And
Yeah.
yeah, when you put that first, people light up and people love to be lit up, and whoever lights them up, they're remembered. So
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Like, I love that you say it's sparkle, because yeah, it's such an important thing.
Yeah, and people see that. I've noticed that myself. If I talk about something I love, that people say, "Wow, you can see that you really love it," and then that's what you want, right? That's what I also want to sometimes ignite in other people. And you're like, "Yeah, talk about it to me," and then they love it. They can talk for hours about what they love to
Yeah.
do. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's been my favorite thing in doing this podcast and like meeting new people is like, just
yeah,
tell me what you love, tell me about you, and I just get to learn
yeah.
such amazing things from people. Speaking of which, you started your own community, She Base, recently, and we've been talking about how important health is, how important learning new skills, living an location independent lifestyle, and also forging meaningful connections as an entrepreneur. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit more about SheBase, because all of these components, I can see how they all fit into your business, and I love that.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, I like it that you notice it, because it's been I've been talking about my journey, and during that entrepreneurial journey, I missed like-minded people around me, because suddenly I didn't have any colleagues anymore, right? So when I was
Hmm.
nomading, then you go to co-workings and you also meet them, but most of the time you're working alone on your laptop, and there's no real colleague next to you to help you. And like, hey, you have a lot of challenges, you have a lot of things that you cannot talk with your friends or your family, because, well, many of my friends are not entrepreneurs. So they say, oh, nice, but no, sorry, I cannot help you.
Yeah.
And then I thought, yeah, let's see, like I always said, find your tribe. So let's go on Facebook, or I subscribed for a kind of like masterclass, but then still it was always short term or very anonymous. Facebook groups, you just post
Hmm.
there something, and who is it that replies? So I thought, I've always loved to connect people. And if you talk about what's your purpose in life, I think one of the things that really makes me happy is connecting people and finding a common ground, and then just put them together, and then you see something amazing
Hmm.
because the community empowers. And then why not build it myself? And then
I
I
love it.
envisioned, yeah, a global community where female entrepreneurs, because we have different challenges, I think, can come together to grow, to connect, to empower each other, but also find their safe haven, even if they are wherever
Mm.
in the world, their safe haven, to share also like your struggles and say, I'm not doing well this month. Do you have any advice for me? Or maybe you
Hmm.
also struggle with that. Or, because I feel that sometimes we're always trying to compete, but actually we
Hmm.
complete. And that's our mantra. And I really believe in that, in bringing female entrepreneurs together and making ourselves, like, empowering ourselves, and getting stronger
Yeah.
together. And yeah, the results show that last month we had our first festival. It was an online
Ah, that's
festival.
exciting.
Yeah, and people were checking in from New Zealand to Bali to Europe, and it was so amazing to see that even though we were from so many different nationalities, we all connected, and we had this like shared interest for travel, for entrepreneurship, but also like, hey, I can also be me, and I can just, yeah,
Hmm.
share my challenges with you. And that was really nice to see. So I'm planning to organize organize many more to bring
Yay.
female entrepreneurs together. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. And you also, I know you also host monthly workshops, monthly community calls as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a kind of mastermind support, and of course, because I just started, I'm still figuring out what is the right frequency. Because I find as an entrepreneur, it's important to also listen to your audience, listen to the people that are interested, and see what fits best. And one of the masterminds is bringing the female entrepreneurs together, and everybody has like one challenge they can bring to the table, and then they get
Oh,
they get collaborative feedback. So everybody in that breakout room, I would say maximum 7 people, can give their feedback on that person's challenge. And we did it during the festival, and there was some girl that said, now I have my slogan for my next products. And the other
ah,
one said, oh wow, now I have a graphic designer because I was looking for that, and so many things happen just by bringing them together and facilitating community. So yeah, that's I'm very excited, and especially because it's a type of entrepreneur that's very curious, that's very like non-routine. So we talk about health as well as a non-routine person, like how do we incorporate that
hmm.
in our busy adventurous lives. So we try to combine those three things: the skills, the health, and entrepreneurship in one, like a one-stop shop, I would say, one-stop drive. Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that. Yeah, and those are so important as you're starting this entrepreneurship journey. Or if you're a little further along, like just the community to keep you going is so key.
yeah,
And the mastermind support that you mentioned, I've been in a few of those, and it's such a really cool container if you're having a issue that you've been blocked on, to have 7 people or whatever the size
yeah.
is to give you immediate input, and you can describe what it is, and you're just like, oh my god, I didn't see it from that perspective. It's
Yes, because
amazing.
you're stuck. You're so, and I had it myself as well, that sometimes you're like, yeah, well, there's no way out. And somebody else is like, oh, but I had that problem last year. I know the answer,
Hmm.
or I don't, but let's look at it together. And so many people contact me afterwards, like, oh yeah, well, apparently I live half an hour from that other person in Spain that is also in tourism.
Oh.
So we connected, and I was like, really? Like I didn't even connect with that. So it's just, it brings a lot of things. It can be, yeah, it can be anything, but also, like, we're just human beings. We cannot always be strong, we cannot always be comparing ourselves to others. Let's just, yeah, right, like, I feel like
Let's work
we should,
together.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
work together. So yeah, super excited.
Yeah, I can see your sparkle as you talk about it. So that's really great to
That's
see.
the most important. Thank you.
Yeah, and as part of She Base, you also have a She Cares component where you give back. Can you describe that piece a little bit?
Yeah, actually, during my travels, what I try to do is, wherever I go, is try to give back to the community. For me, it's super important not to be a traveler that is just a tourist, but also somebody
Hmm.
that, can I bring to the table, and how can I help the local community? And that can be in many forms. I did that in Thailand as well, helping with schools. And so when I was building my community, I was like, it has to be part of, like, the giving back has to be part of the community as well, because it just doesn't feel good if I don't do that. It's just something that
Hmm.
within me that I find so important, and I want to attract also entrepreneurs that also find that important, that element. So I've been looking for a way to support other female entrepreneurs like us that have the same dream like us, but they don't have the means to do it. So
Mm.
I found an organization in the Netherlands that supports, that they give like micro loans to female entrepreneurs in third world countries. And that's amazing,
Wow.
because when you support them, you support their dream to build their business. And it kind of gives you as well a kind of feeling that you're not doing this only for you, but the community is also helping them. So yeah, that's a very important component to what we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, yeah, and we get
I
like an
love that
update
you're
every month.
uplifting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're uplifting women, not just within, the members, but also people in the local communities, and helping them become entrepreneurs. So that's like really a beautiful giving back that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what are the ways that people are able to join the community, find out about what you're doing? or if you have anything, an event coming up next.
Yeah, so we're preparing the next event at the moment. So the date will be released soon. We're at the moment we have the Instagram page, and we're working also on a platform where we will gather the community, where it will be important to connect with each other and to be, to send a message to somebody. Oh, I'm in Mexico. I'm working there. Do you wanna meet up? Or hey, I'm looking for a marketeer for my next project. So it will be a platform that gives all these opportunities to connect in different ways, and where we will also host different events, and the next festival will come soon, but we don't have a date yet. We just had the
Oh,
one
okay.
not even 2 weeks ago, so we're preparing.
Yeah.
Also, because what I find important is based on the feedback. Do we need to do more networking? Do we need to do more expert sessions? I think you need to stay alert and be learning from the first event. So I'm very excited for what's coming next. So
Yay.
follow
And
our
you
Instagram.
Perfect. And you also are you on an app as well?
Yeah. So, well, once we will have the community on Mighty Networks, the app is also
Mhm.
available. Then, because I think as we are all travelers and we're on the go, we're more connected to our phones than anything else. So I think
Yes.
it's it's important. So yeah, once we launch the platform, the app will also be available. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, and I will link all of that information in the show notes for anyone out there who is a fempreneur or aspiring and wants to
Yes.
have a community around you that is focused on learning new things, embracing health as an important aspect, as well as connection and giving back. I think those are all amazing pillars, part of
Yes.
this community.
Yes. Great. Thank
And
you.
yeah, and I love to see women creating the communities that, feel aligned to the journey that they have had in their lives, because, you are going to help so many people just with the journey that you've gone on, but also creating that safe container for
Yes.
other women that are just starting.
Yeah, that's super important for me, and that women can be themselves. That's so, yeah, and it starts with you as well, right? Like, if I don't show vulnerability as a community manager, nobody will like feel safe to do it either, right? It's not a show. It's
Mhm.
a real community hub where we connect on a deeper level. So that's
Yeah,
important.
that's so important. And actually, speaking of connection, so I ask a few closing questions to all my guests as well. And the first one that we can go through is connection. So, throughout your travels, where and how did you meet your most meaningful connections? And do you have any tips for other women who are looking to make and nurture those meaningful connections while they're on the go as well?
Yes, in co-livings. I mean, there are many ways to find your community, but for me, the most meaningful were in co-livings because it's different. So if I travel somewhere, like now in December, I was in Thailand, I was in a co-living in Komak. And so you have your own space, but you still share a house or
Mm-hmm.
like a part of the house, and that it gives you, like, you live with strangers from one moment to another, so it gives a completely different vibe than just being a traveler that stays 1 or 2 nights in a hostel, because
And
you
are these
you
digital nomad co-livings
Yes,
specific?
yeah. It's specific for remote workers and nomads. So I also find there sometimes your next project, sometimes a coach, sometimes, so because
Mm-hmm.
you're all in the same boat, you just meet so many people that can also help you in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there for the same reason. You want to work. So it's not like on Tuesday night you're gonna party, and it can
Yeah.
happen, but everybody works on Wednesday. So it's like you don't have to explain yourself. And I
Mhm.
love it a lot because it inspires me, and you get friendships for life. Sometimes just by staying in a
Mhm.
house 2 weeks, and then you go to your next travel, you see each other all the time. It's different than here with friends. You see them once every few weeks, and you go for dinner. But there, it's really, you
Mhm.
live together and you share
Mhm.
stories that I never shared with friends for years, just because it's more
Yeah.
intense. Yeah, I had one co-living in Sicily, and we were only 3 people. You can imagine. Night two, we were already talking about family issues and things, and we said, like, this is weird. I know you like 48 hours. It's just, but it
Mhm.
goes much deeper because you're stuck with each other, let's say it like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a completely different connection, 100%. Yeah.
And that's such a great tip because even when I'm visiting friends back at home, I like to stay with them. And the moments where you're not doing activities, the moments where you're like sitting on the couch, both on phones or you're co working or maybe like making a meal together, those moments are the moments that bond. It's
Yes.
you're like, okay, yes, you get to experience things together doing an activity, but like the
The
fun,
small
deep
things.
conversations.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Yes.
it's so important to have those moments even with friends. And that's why, in college you got so close with people because you had all those downtime moments to just start to chat and really get
Yeah.
into it. So
Yeah.
I love
I
co-livings for
totally
that too.
agree. Yeah, and also because you say this story now, when I was living in Lisbon, I have a good friend of mine, and we were living there together. And we said, you know what? Because as a traveler, you always live on a high, right? There's this next adventure and
Hmm.
another adventure, and but at some point we
Hmm.
said, you know what I want to do tonight? Have like girls' night, just something, not even
Yeah.
going out. At home, having a facial mask, having a bath, I don't know, just self-care, watching a movie, chick
Yeah.
like and she said to me, you know what, that's what I miss the most. And it's so simple, and it doesn't have anything to do with big adventures, but sometimes these
Hmm.
are the moments that bond and that just make, I don't know, where you make many memories of. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. It's I think that's universal, the face masks and wanting a
Yeah,
bath and
right. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
downtime. Yeah, because I can remember a lot of those moments when I would visit friends or I do co-livings with friends too where we'll meet. I say like
Oh,
we met in a
really?
different place. They're like, oh, let's meet together and do this one city for 3 weeks, and then we'll just get like a
Oh,
Airbnb together in
I've
that
never done
place.
that. That's also an
Yeah,
idea.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's great because you meet so many people around the world and
Yeah.
sometimes it works out where you both don't have anything for like say a month in between transits to somewhere else and then you're like, "Oh, actually, yeah, I could go over there and let's rent an Airbnb together." And then you have those like beautiful downtime moments and you can co-work, you can do all those things, but you kind of create your own co-living situation.
Oh, wow. That's also another way of approaching it. Yeah, thank you. That's really interesting. Maybe it's something, because by now
Mhm.
I know a lot of people that have the same lifestyle. And after a few co-livings, you can form your own little co-living in the world. So
Yeah.
that's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and with social media, you can keep everyone updated and you're like, "Oh, if you're in that area, like we can, get together, even if it's for a week." Like I have a best friend who she and I did Portland for one of the years. We did that for a week and then this most recent year, she and I did she was already going to be in Brazil and I was in Argentina at the time. And I was like, Argentina's far from everything, so I need to make my way back up to the US and
Yeah.
different flights anyway. So I was like, yeah, I could pop over to
I
Rio for
love
10
that.
days. And so that was nice. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, so those were like really nice because then after Rio, I went to Colombia and I met another friend for 3 weeks. And then from there, I met another friend in Puerto Rico for a week. And
Oh,
I was like, oh, this is great
wow.
because I get to see my friends and then also
Yeah,
experience
that's
all the
what we
new
do, right?
places.
Yeah, we need to. It's a
Hmm.
different, and you sometimes combine it per continent that people are like, oh my God, like, like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's Asia. Even if it's like a few hours away, it's like, yeah, but then I'm already there. I crossed the
I'm
water.
already there. Yeah. Well, that's
It's
exactly what happens when I'm back in the US. Like, even if it's, New York to California, I'm like, well, while I'm in town, I might
while
as
I'm
well
in
come
town.
see
I
you.
know it's just, yeah, but it's, yeah, you feel so, yeah, it feels flexible. You can do anything, it makes you, I don't know, it makes you like not have any limits anymore. It's just, yeah,
Hmm.
it's really important.
Yeah, and the connection piece can look different, but I find that I'm closer now with friends because I'm able to see them in person more often, as opposed to, as you mentioned, a dinner every 4 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So speaking of additional questions, so I want to ask, in your journey, if there was a specific question that you asked yourself that just illuminated so much, and what was that question? Whether it was like a coaching question, a self-reflection question, like what question would you have asked your younger self, or did you ask your younger self in the past that allowed you to, make these big changes?
Yeah, I think one question I always had is, what is home for me? Where is home? What
Mm-hmm.
is home? And I think as digital nomads, a lot of us have that question. So for years I was looking for that one home, and it kind of like at some point made me feel bad that I didn't find that one place in the world, because
Mm-hmm.
Sevilla was home because I had there a very transformational period. Lisbon was home, and then I met a friend, and she said to me, it was only 2 years ago, she said to me, but why do you need one home? She asked me that one question
Mm-hmm.
because I said, oh, I'm struggling and I don't know what to do. And why am I so different than the rest of the world? You feel so.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, because that's what we need to do, right? We need to have a home. And she's like, well, that's what maybe society says, or what is normal, or what is very. But she said you can also have 2, 3 homes. And when she said it, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Light
actually,
bulb.
why not? Why did I say that? I asked this question all the time, but when she like reversed it, I said, oof, and I felt so relieved. I was like, oh, really? Okay, but then that changed so much for me. That's also why I said now I have a home base. But when I go to
Mm-hmm.
Lisbon, that's home. When I go to Belgium, it's home, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not a house, and I think that
Yeah.
was like. It's not, it's a feeling. It's like by now, also for you, my friends are living everywhere in the world. So to say like that's where everybody is, no, it's not. You always miss someone. And that question
Mm-hmm.
was very, very important. And I'm not going to say sometimes I still ask myself,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's okay not to
Have just one
feel like,
home.
yeah,
Yeah.
not to have, yeah,
And
yeah,
I find that for me, home is, well, one, where I am, because that's the key component.
yeah,
And
for sure.
two, wherever the people that I love are. So if that means, I had never been to Rio, but one of my best friends is in Rio, hey, that feels
Yeah,
like home to me, right? And all
yeah,
these different places around the world start to feel like home when I have the people that I love there, or I meet people that are amazing and I feel so connected to. And I think that the more that you travel, the more that you have these amazing connections with people, the more that the whole world starts to feel like home, which is a
yeah,
beautiful thing, that you can
yeah.
kind of never feel completely alone and foreign
No.
in no matter where you are.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It took some
Yeah.
time to realize that.
Yeah, it does. It
Yeah.
takes a while. But then, like, it sounds like you had that click moment, and I think that's.
Yeah, yeah.
And a couple more questions. What is one final tip you would give women who are considering traveling solo for the first time, but they might be a little hesitant or anxious? What advice would you give them?
Start small, I would say,
Mm.
because if you go immediately on a 3 week trip to Thailand, I mean that's brave, and you can do that. But what I would say is, or go within your own country, or go to somewhere 2 hours away and book a weekend trip and see how it feels, because then it's not so overwhelming. Because then you will not be so anxious all the time. Because at some point you go back after 2 days, you're fine, and then maybe a little bit longer, and then that big trip. That's also how it started for me with the business travel. I was on my own, and it's of course a different setting, but I already tasted like going for dinners on my own, in a hotel room on my own,
Hmm.
and then going on a trip to Thailand. I think that's an easier transition, and a little less
Yeah.
scary. Like I always said, it's not black and white. You can just find a way in the middle to like try it. And that would be my biggest tip, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very important is, yeah, start small, whatever it is that you have a fear of, like do that in the comfort of a town that's nearby, and
yeah,
then you start to exercise that muscle. So
yeah, yeah.
beautiful advice. And lastly, I would like to ask, so we started off with a question on play, and I love to end on a question on play. And so how do you incorporate play as part of your everyday life? What do you do that feels like play?
Celebrate small wins. I
Yay.
find that, yeah, I find that so important. I always say there's always a bottle of bubbles in my fridge because you never know
Mhm.
what the day will bring. And second, it can be these kind of victory dances or whatever. Like I said, dance is very important
Yes.
for me. And
Yeah.
imagine you sign a new contract or whatever, just celebrate it because so many people, and I did it in the past myself, they said, okay, tap on the shoulder, that was great, next goal. But no,
Mhm.
let's just celebrate it, spread the word, tell people, be proud of it, don't be too modest about it, like call people and share your, share your happiness, because that's what it's about in life, I think, the small things. And every day there's something to celebrate, and we might not feel it, but there's for sure always something. And yeah, be mindful of that. So
Ah. I love that.
yeah.
And yeah, I think that we when we're younger, everything is like a little celebration because you're like, "Oh, it's the first time you did something." But yeah, we
Yes,
lose that
we lose that. Yeah.
celebration mode.
Yeah.
So I love that you bring
Yeah.
that back into your life.
Yeah. I try to. It's what you said. Like with kids, you do it all the time. Oh, so good, you did that, and then suddenly we're adults, and it's like, yeah, sorry, but do you want any credits for that? No. Yeah, do it. Small things, and
Yes.
like, yeah, give people compliments. People love it. Just give them a little.
Mhm.
Make them shine. It's
Yes,
important.
that's also amazing advice, especially like in connection. Like if you're thinking it and it's a compliment, like say it out
Say
loud.
it out
Like
loud.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it when
Yeah.
people do that for me, and I try to do that for others because you never know who really needed it that day.
Yeah, maybe they had an awful day and then suddenly they come back home. They're, wow, and it can be small things. There's always something to say.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate the small things and the wins
Yes.
and give people compliments. I
Yes.
love let's end on that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned reach out to you via Instagram and the website, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I also have my personal
Perfect.
account. So if people want to know more or see some travel stories, or I'm always on the road or doing something or exploring the world, and feel free to add me on my personal account as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on today and sharing your story. I learned a lot about you and I resonated with so much of what you said. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, especially all of the stuff in the middle that where you're like, oh, and I didn't really know where this would lead, but and then
Yeah.
and it worked out.
Exactly. No, thanks for having me. It was amazing to be here and to share my story. And I hope many people will find some inspiration from it as well to, take the leap and just do it. Just try it, because what if you fly, right?
Yes, what if you fly? Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to today's episode with Delphine. I hope her story resonated with you as well and inspires you to transform your life through travel. See you all at the next adventure. As we wrap up another beautiful and insightful episode, I want to leave you with an opportunity to deepen your journey of connection. So head over to travelnotsescape.com/friends to explore the Passport to Connection program. This is a unique one-day live virtual workshop and monthly mastermind that's designed to empower you on your journey of connection. And this goes from connecting back into yourself, reigniting your spirit of play, understanding what you value for yourself and in friendships, where to find these people, especially while you're traveling, and then once you actually meet them, how to turn those connections into friendships, handle rejection, handle filtering for like-minded individuals, and then once you're friends, how to actually maintain these connections, especially when time and distance are a factor. So this is a one-day live virtual workshop because I wanted to make sure you got all of this knowledge right away so that you can start connecting with people. So if you're going on a trip or if you're moving soon, I wanted you to have all this information, all of these actionable insights right at your fingertips. And you will immediately be joined by a small group of like-minded individuals that are going on the same journey. So you are also building community right along with getting all the information that you need. So go ahead and head to travelnottoescape.com/friends. I have more information on there. I am creating a very intimate group for this workshop, so make sure to sign up soon so you can secure your spots. And I am so excited to welcome you all into the program. Until next time, keep exploring, connecting, and playing, and safe travels, navigators.